with the latest updates.
Yeah. We will see about 2 to 4 feet of storm surge after midnight and towards sunrise, but up the coast towards the Big Bend, they will see 10 to 15 feet of storm surge very likely after it's all said and done. So I would like to start off with a reminder about the tornado watch that is in effect from now to about 6 a.m. for the counties especially shaded in yellow. Above our heads, Idalia has changed the wind field. We have more spin, we have more twist, and that's what these storms are feeding off of. And at any point, isolated tornadoes will be possible. Let's start with some good news. Good news is continues to move away from us. The bad news is it's heading to the Big Bend, and it does look to be intensifying at a pretty good clip here as they will see devastating wind and storm surge by tomorrow. Here's a look at that system. Let me move the cone a little bit and move the camera as this has largely been going right in the middle of where it should be. Every now and then some fluctuations away from the center line, but still averaging over the past several hours exactly where it should be going. So closer to home, here's a look at some of the showers and storms and very heavy rain. There are pros and cons to this. The positive, this is an area right now before the hurricane that was battling a severe to even extreme drought. And we have one after another very heavy rain over these areas. Maybe too much of a good thing with, we're going to have to watch to see the flood potential for Englewood, Rotunda, and all the way towards Boca Grande. But they're seeing the rain. The bad news is embedded within these cells, I'm going to stop this, we do have pockets of rotation. So right here, you can almost see little baby hook echoes right there, and where you would have rotation and a possible water spout would be right about there, right about there. And let me take a look inside of the storm for you with our velocity product. And rotation that we have would be fairly weak. Again, I'm not seeing anything incredibly tight, so good news there. But you see this at home where you see the coloration change? That is at least some rotation that is being indicated, and very likely that, let me put a time lapse on it, that is going to be rotating north and working its way towards Englewood and Minnesota Key. So pretty much due north. And let's put, actually, tell you what, while we have this up, why don't we put a storm cone on it? That way you can have the specifics on when you can expect it. So that's going to be making a beeline towards Englewood. I have this timed out at about, let's see, 35 miles an hour. So heads up for some rotation, water spout possible, pushing inland, not impossible for Grove City. That's a 10-10 Englewood, and then very likely Minnesota Key as we hit 10-15 to also 10-30. So that's going to be that part of Southwest Florida. Let's continue to work our way down as we have more of the showers and storms that continue to rotate on the eastern side of the hurricane. One after another, very heavy rainfall indicated. These are all being watched for rotation. And I would say the area with likely the greatest rotation is down here, and it's still offshore of Sanibel as well as Captiva. And let's indicate that right now. And see where you have these brighter colors of white, light blue, and green. Embedded within that, not only is there rotation, but aloft and inside of the storm, I have winds being picked up of 60 to 70 miles an hour, and that could work its way down to the surface. So that's the very latest on radar. Let's take a look at the hurricane itself, and latest scan, yeah, it's starting to try to clear out more of the eye, which is a sign of intensification. I just heard from the hurricane hunters, and I would not be surprised, so we get the update here at 11 o'clock, I would not be surprised if we have a 110 or 115 within that range hurricane update. Here's going to be the specifics, and this is as of, and how about that? I actually just got the update, and they bumped it to 110, and so there it is, 10 o'clock update, and they sometimes will do this. They normally do updates every 3 hours, but when it gets closer to land, they do it every hour, and that might be the phase that we're working our way into. So 110 now, the pressure has lowered to 960 millibars. That is a big difference. Greg, the previous update, that was what, 972?
Correct.
Okay, so the hurricane hunters have found it dropped 12 millibars just this evening. That is some pretty quick deepening, and it is strengthening pretty fast.
And the movement from 16 to 18.
And it's got a little faster, that's right. So it's pushing to the north now at 18, but that's a big drop in pressure from 972 to now 960 in just a couple of hours, and that is not what we want to hear for friends and family that we do know up the coast. Even my parents live north of Ocala. They're going to be seeing bands of rain and wind associated with the system, and these storms and this entire hurricane will eventually work its way towards the Carolinas. And then within this area, I have been asked the question, apparently something went viral on social media and people were freaking out and getting scared and nervous that, you know, that Idalia could wrap around to Florida. So let's address that, shall we? So these are the computer models as we go into time, and some people were getting nervous that they saw a couple models that showed it curving back to Florida, and I did see them myself. But we don't want to always look at the worst case scenario and thinking that that's the most accurate. It doesn't work that way. We want to look at the majority. And I just got some new updates this evening that show the majority of the models, the ones that were trying to curve it back to Florida, are now trying to curve it out to sea. So just for some peace of mind, looks like the models have corrected themselves. But as of right now, we are looking at a strengthening hurricane. Here's a final look at the cone as this will be pushing on shore tomorrow, major hurricane for the Florida Big Bend. This is going to be a quick update. I'm going to come back in the next couple of minutes. We will do a longer update and we will highlight everything that you need to know, including storm surge times in just a bit. Guys?